Hi there. Today I am going to be gooping my tyres. The reasons that I'm gooping these tyres is because I'm going to be doing the GS challenge around Wales, and it means that I'm going to be going down some rough tracks. Probably not doing too much off-roading on this bike. I'm going to use their own supplied bikes for the main off-road challenges, but following the GS challenge I'm going to spend a few days around Wales, up in the mountains, so some single track roads, probably not very good condition, and I don't want to be caught in the middle of nowhere with my tyre blown out. Yes, I do have like AA cover and things like that, but at the same time Goop and things like bite seal, ultra seal and so on, what they will do is just give you enough time to be able to get to a garage and get the tyre repaired properly. A lot of people do say that there's people that won't change tyres because there's Goop in there. Fortunately, I do have a tyre fitter that does it with Goop in there. In fact, the store sells the Goop and the slime, and he's got no problems. He doesn't charge any extra. In fact, he charges only £10 for a tyre change, which is incredible value. But I actually first started using Goop for my K75 because the rims were very old, they're very corroded, and they was losing about 10 psi a week, and I just got fed up of continually blowing it up. And I read up on slime and Goop and things like that, and it's incredible how well it does seal those rims. People say that this is corrosive. Well, actually Goop on the back here does state that it's got anti-corrosives in it. Certainly where my K75 is concerned, the wheel rims are 30 years old. They're corroded enough already. This isn't going to do much more damage. If anything, I need to get in there and sort of re-varnish the rims, take it back and get it smooth again. But in the meantime, this certainly sees it through and I don't lose any pressure. So I'm going to pop some in here. What you do is make sure you have your Goop, and a couple of things you want to hand. Gloves, it's quite messy, some kitchen towel, paper towel. I also swear by these Wilko wipes, they're incredible. They clear up oil, mess, all sorts of things. And cotton wool bud for actually sort of cleaning out around the valve. In the top here is a valve remover, so you just undo this, make sure it's about 8 o'clock because you want the Goop to go in and slide down in the tyre. Obviously we're using gravity, so it needs to go out and down. No point trying to do it with it up this high. Certainly, definitely not past about 9 o'clock. It does say it on here. I've already Gooped my K75. I just got a new front tyre, so I just Gooped that, and used half of this bottle's worth. So it says 250ml per tyre, and so I can just go ahead and know that I don't need to measure it out. But for the rear wheel, I've got a fresh one here. I will need to measure that out. That will take a bit more time because it is quite difficult to see where the Goop begins and ends. So this should take a bit shorter, certainly for the purposes of this video. So we do this nice and gently. Make sure you're gentle with it because you don't want the valve innards just spewing out and disappearing across the car park or wherever you're doing this. inside of the valve. I'm just going to put it here on the bit of tissue there. Now unfortunately that's a little bit bent out of shape from doing the K75 one, which means that it's probably going to create a little bit of mess around the base of the valve stem here. So we just make sure this is fully out. And pop it on. I'm just going to hold my hand around the base and try and make a bit of a seal there, and then just gently, little squeeze at a time, push it in. Clearly you need to allow it enough time for it to go down the valve stem and into the tyre, or else you're going to make a mess and it will go everywhere. So I guess it's not really one of those jobs that you want to rush too quickly. And if you're halving a bottle, you definitely can't rush it, because it's difficult to see the measurements of the goop on the side of the bottle. As you see, there's a little bit coming down over my fingers there now. So just try and squeeze it around the valve stem a little bit more. Okay, you'll notice that I'm just tapping the last bits down. There we go. So, I'm just blame this, but my valve stem is still there and safe. Give this a good wipe up. I'm going to wipe my hands too. So I'm getting one of these to give it a clean. Like I say, these are incredible for a host of jobs around the bike and the engine. Now it's made the rest of my wheel look really dirty compared to this clean patch. So I'm just using the earbud here now, just to get the excess from around the edge. So you get your valve inner, make sure you put it in the right way. It's the tool that come in the top of the bottle. Make sure it's in there nice and tight. One last little clean up before getting the pump on. Now what's really important is once you've put some goop in, you need to take a ride almost immediately, and then that way the goop will spread around the inside of the tyre. It's no point putting the goop in and then leaving it for a few weeks before going for a ride, because what can happen, especially in the winter, if you read up online, I'm not going to say it is particular to Goop as a brand, it may be many tyre sealants or one particular one, but what can happen is in the winter time, if it does stay still for any period of time, it can solidify, and then that is going to affect the handling and the balance of the tyre and the wheel. So therefore it won't be as safe and it won't corner and handle as nicely as your bike should do. So it's really important that once it's all done, pumped up, you're sure that you've got a good seal on the valve here and that it's not losing any air. Then take it for a ride as soon as possible, ideally within minutes of doing it, just to get that even coating around all of the tyre, and then hopefully it won't affect any of the handling of the tyre. So I'm happy with that. Time to pump up. Tip, something that I always do before putting the valve caps on is just give it a little blow to make sure that there's no debris in there that might interfere with the valve here. Another thing you can do is just have a little listen, make sure no air is escaping from this valve. It sounds fine, and I will check this in about 3 days time before I go off for the weekend, just to make sure that it hasn't lost any pressure. That'll also give me enough chance to take it to the bike shop and get it looked at in case it does need reseating, or if it needs a new valve or anything. However, as it is, I feel good to go now and get this all covered up on the inside.